Hi everybody. So there have been so many questions in the groups about grids. How do I grid? What do I use to grid? What are some common themes or some common energies that I can grid for? And so I wanted to show you my 3 favorite grids. I think you're going to love them too. But I also want to play a little bit. I want to show you the universe of possibility when it comes to the tools that you use. There are 2 static factors in a grid, so it's really important for you to see this. The first is you have to have a quartz generator in the center, okay? Now these are different kinds of quartz generators. This is a clear quartz generator, obviously. This is a smoky quartz generator, still quartz. This is a magical celestial generator, skeletal celestial generator with phantoms. And I'm going to describe to you why you would choose one of these over the other. This is a phantom that is included with black, or a generator that's included with black tourmaline. Okay. Depends on your purpose. So the all-purpose generator you want to have, this is a big daddy generator. They don't have to be this big. Size doesn't necessarily matter. What does matter is that your generator needs to have a flat bottom and a point at the top. The number of facets around the side has meaning, but it doesn't matter in terms of this context. It just has to have a direct point at the top and a flat bottom. The reason is you're pulling energy up from the earth, you're collecting it there, and you're sending it to source. You're then receiving energy from source and sending it out to your grid. Okay, so it's up and then back down to the grid. Now, clear quartz is great for everything. You can start to specialize. If you're doing a protection grid, or in this case, one of the ones I'm going to show you is a clearing grid, black tourmaline is really nice for that. It's grounding, it's protective. If you're doing a grid in your home for protection, or especially for somebody who has a new home or they're just moving into a space, black tourmaline is great to use. This celestial with phantoms is about ancestral connection and wisdom. This is an older piece of quartz than this. So it depends on the vibration you're trying to create. Now, some people would look at this and say it's ugly. I know that you agree with me that it's not, that it's totally awesome. I actually seek out generators like this because I feel like the vibration is deeper, older, and wiser. So for my Cleopatra grid that I'm about to show you, I'm going to use this celestial phantom generator as opposed to the clear. And then this is for safety as well, but also transmuting of negative energies or low vibrations. It's also perfect for healing, you know, because smoky quartz takes the negative energy or the illness energy out of you and holds it. Smoky quartz is great for people who are going through chemo or any kind of invasive physical procedures because it actually helps to mitigate some of the effects of chemo. People say they experience less nausea, less hair loss. So that's one of the reasons people come to me for smoky quartz. So if you're doing a healing grid, this would be very powerful to have in the middle. Rose quartz is fine as a generator. Remember, rose quartz is still quartz. If you're doing a love grid, as I am, I'm going to use my basic generator for this grid today, but you could use a rose quartz generator for that as well. They're harder to find. I do get them eventually, or occasionally, but when in doubt, this is what you want to have. So, and the other power tool you have to have for gridding is you have to have a double terminated quartz wand. Okay, this is a Vogel, because you see all the facets on the sides. This is a hand-cut Vogel. Very powerful stone. It's used in shamanic work for what we call extraction of energies, but it also is a very potent tool for activating grids. This is a more typical clear quartz double terminated wand. Fewer facets, fewer sides. We get to a whole separate video on why you'd use a Vogel as opposed to a typical basic clear quartz double terminated. You could also use our Vedzonite. Our Vedzonite is for manifestation. I had these in the shop a while back. I get them every so often. So when you see those in the shop, this is a gridding tool. You need double terminated because when you activate your grid, you're taking energy from you to the grid, and then from each stone within the grid to each other stone in the grid, and from each stone in the grid to the generator. I'll explain more about that when I activate one, but you need the energy to go back and forth, if that makes sense, and so that's what you use a double terminated wand for. Energy from this stone to this stone, from the stone to the generator, energy from you to the generator. That's how you use a double terminated wand. So now you know why they're in the shop all the time. When you see them, like, what do people use that for? This is exactly what they're looking for. So let's start with a clearing grid. You want to collect 4s of everything, okay? Why? 4 cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west, which is what you're marking in your grid. So I'm going to set these other stones to the side for just a second, and we'll come back to them when I create the other grids for you. So this video is just going to be a few minutes long, and bear with me if you'd like to see how the process unfolds. But I wanted to have multiple sets of options to show you. The other thing you should always collect when you're making a grid is a set of 4 basic quartz points. These do not have to be double terminated, but these are going to form the outer points. They're going to hold the 4 directions on your grid. So, you know, when you want to just have a set of tools, generator, double terminated wand, and then 4 points. Then what varies are the stones that you choose for the purpose. So since this is a clearing grid, we're using selenite wands. Selenite clears negative energy. It brings happiness and joy. It's called selenite. It was named after the Greek goddess of the moon, Selene, because ancient Greeks thought that the moon was trapped inside of these. I think it is too. And then we have petalite, which is protective. I call this the white cloak stone, the white velvet cloak. It's a gentle kind of protection. It's a little less heavy than black tourmaline, still does the trick. Black kyanite, which is the best clearing stone of them all, because you don't ever have to clear it. It clears everything, but it doesn't hold any energy, so you don't have to worry about clearing that. Kunzite, master healer, removes karmic debt and also energetic debris from the aura. So anything you need to clear in terms of healing for a clearing grid is done there. And then salt, which is the great purifier. Why would you use salt in the grid as opposed to a gemstone? Salt is very powerful, my friends. So Himalayan salt, to me, is as valuable and important as a gemstone in your collection. So let's grid. So you've got your generator. I actually think I'm going to use the black tourmaline for clearing. Black tourmaline is in quartz, so it still is you know, holding the purpose or the intention. Now you have to use your intuition, really. Where do you want to begin? And remember, you have 4 of everything, so you're going north, south, east, and west. And then I'm going to talk to you about cutting the directions, okay? I'm going to set these off to the side too. I brought all the toys today to grid with. And I want you to be able to see everything really clearly. But now you know why you keep your stones in the organza bags. It really helps when you're setting things up like this. Now, since I'm using selenite wands, I'm feeling really called to begin there. Love using selenite wands for gridding. And what I do is I place all the stones in the 4 directions. Now, for our purposes here, this is west, I'm east. So you'll notice I began in the east. And this is north, this is south, as far as the room that I'm sitting in. So I am the direction of east. And then I just sort of check in with my intuition. How does it look? How does it feel? Are they balanced? Is the position right? I'm gridding actually on a table that's made of spirit vine, which is beautiful. So it's nice if the surface also has an integrity to the energy, which this one certainly does. So there's our selenite. Now, I'm feeling like I want to add the salt for purification. So I'll add the 4 pieces of salt. And as I'm doing this, you know, usually if I'm not talking to you, I'm starting to go into a little bit of a trance because I'm thinking, okay, now I've got protection and a magnification of energy out to peace and joy and a clearing of anything from my space that isn't serving me. And now I'm adding an additional layer of purification with the salt. And what I'm going to do here is terminate the grid with the clear quartz points. Now, if you're trying to send the energy out in your room or into your space, you want the quartz points facing away from you, from the center. If you're trying to bring protective energy in to your space from the outside, turn the quartz points facing the generator. Does that make sense? So there's that. I always grid with the points facing out because I'm trying to raise the energy and spread it throughout my space. But if you only want this space to be held, like if you were trying to create a power grid and you really wanted this grid to be the vortex of your house, for example, you would turn all these quartz points facing in. And then this would really become a hot spot in your house. I mean, this would be the place to be. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the corners. I'm going to create the cross directions. I'm going to do northwest, southwest. So I'm going to begin again to the east, and I'm going to build out 3 stones in each direction. So here we are at northeast. This is north. This is west. This is northwest. This is west. This is south. So this is southwest. This is south. This is east. This is southeast. Okay? You don't have to cut the corners, or cut the quarters, I should say. You could I could take this. You want the quartz points at the very edge, but I could take this and put it here. And I could take this and put it here.
But when you add the layer of cutting the quarters, to me it creates raises additional energy, and it fills in the pockets of the voids of energy that you might create by just having a 4-directional grid. Now I'm going to add kunzite for that healing of any energies that need to be healed in order for this space to be clear. I turned this one and immediately my intuition said don't turn it. Again, this is an entirely intuitive process. It's also an aesthetic process. And now petalite. I wanted to edge it with petalite. Petalite is a member of the spodumene family, but it grows with quartz. And so I feel like I don't have to terminate this row with quartz because I'm using spodumene, which is not a member of the quartz family, but it grows with quartz and holds that vibration. It's a very high vibrational stone. Now, let's charge the grid. I'm going to use my Vogel, but again, you can use your regular double terminated quartz point that has fewer facets. It's totally fine. So what you want to do is close your eyes, come into contact with your breath. You want to be centered and balanced when you're doing this work. Some people like to imagine opening an energetic circle around their grid, so I'll do that. And then the first thing I do for me is I take the wand to my third eye and then out to the generator. Okay, so I'm connecting my energy field with the energy field of this generator. You can choose to receive that back by coming back to your third eye, but if you do that, you still have to come back to the generator. We begin in the east. So I work outside in with my grids. This is totally a matter of taste and preference. You'll develop the style that works best for you. And it's okay if it's not perfect. Like if you miss a stone, you can come back to it. You begin at the generator, touch the generator, come out to the farthest quartz point. Okay? Back to the generator, out to the next stone. Back to the generator, now you're working your way in. Back to the generator, out to the farthest stone. Back to the generator. And as you're doing this, your intention is to connect. It's like connect the dots when you were a kid, if you ever did those little puzzles, connect the dots. And you're connecting your grid. You're binding the energies of it, you're activating it. There's a lot of energy flowing between this Vogel and that generator. It's very powerful. Your hands might start to vibrate. My hand gets very hot. I mean, I'm holding a cold quartz point, and my hand is very warm. And again, if I wasn't talking to you, I'd probably be starting to trance out just a little bit. This is very meditative. And you want to make sure that you've gone to each stone at least once. I have friends who love doing this so much that they go around and around and around, 4, 5, 6 times activating their grid. But since I'm just teaching you, and then back to the generator, back out to that farthest point, back to the generator. And if you'd like, you can again pull it in to you. And when you do that, kind of check in with your intention. Clearing the space, removing any energies that aren't serving you or the space. You can say an invocation at this point, which is, I charge this grid to hold my space. I ask that only energies that are for the highest and best good of everyone here in the space be allowed to remain, and that all energies that do not serve us or of a low vibration be called to leave the space. I send them down the 4 corners, down into the center of the earth where they can be transformed, transmuted, and held. I call in their place divine white light. Amen, aho, so it is. Quick, right? And then you're done. And what I like to do is leave the point that I have used to charge all of this so that its points are facing out, and that will continue to radiate an energy all around the grid, which is beautiful. And look how gorgeous this is. Now, if you don't have cats or small people in your house, you could actually leave this up. I probably would have a challenge. I have 2 cats and 2 small people who like to do this with my stones. But if you have a place high up where you can create this and it's not going to be disturbed, I would recommend just leaving this. When you take it down, since we begin in the east, really, and we end in the north, usually. Here we began in the east and we ended in the south. Begin taking it down where you ended. So I would start taking the stones of the south down, work my way this way, and then complete it this way. I'm going to build another quick one for you as well. So I'm going to gather these stones, thanking them for their service. I would go through a more elaborate ritual usually to take a grid apart, but for today's purposes, since this is a quick instructional video, I'm being a little faster about it. Now these stones here have been charged for a specific purpose. If I want to use them for something else, I need to what we call deconsecrate them, which is release them from their service to this particular grid. And we'll talk about that maybe in another video. So let's do a love drawing. Do you want to draw some love to you? I'm going to use my basic clear quartz. Like I said, rose quartz would be another beautiful alternative. I have my 4 quartz points. I have my double terminated wand. So I have all my power tools here, ready to go. I am going to use 4 pieces of ruby for passion. I'm going to use 4 pieces of one of my favorite stones, chrysoprase, for healing any issues that remain around love for me, so that I'm attracting a love that's in alignment with my highest good. I'm going to use 4 pieces of thulite, which facilitates deep spiritual and emotional connection. I am going to use 4 pieces of topaz, which is for manifestation and also for alignment with someone of my highest good. Topaz actually protects you from interacting with anybody who isn't in alignment with your vision, with your desires. And I believe that might be it for my love grid. Let me make sure. Actually, no, 4 pieces of pyrite, 4 pyrite crystals, which is for confidence, for helping me find someone who is going to connect with my energy, but also bring me a certain sense of empowerment, and also so that I feel empowered as I enter into this love that I'm attracting. The only stone I would add, and you can keep adding and adding and adding, would be rose quartz. Rhodonite would be another natural choice if you're recovering from some kind of hurt in a relationship. Rhodonite would be good for healing your heart. Rose quartz is the general love stone, and it probably should be here represented, but since this is just a demonstration, I wanted to keep it a little bit short. Okay, so I'm going to begin in this case with the stone that I feel has the most power in this grid, putting those closest to the generator. Anyone want to guess what that might be? See if you intuitively know which stone I'm going to go for. I'm going to go for ruby. Ruby is the passion stone. Actually, I should be in here. I'm trying to attract, for the purposes of this grid, a deep, passionate connection. So I'm calling that in. The next most important stone is chrysoprase. I'm trying to call in a love that reflects highest good, that reflects a deep healing, a love that breaks any old patterns. A lot of you are looking for relationships that are really different from the relationship you're in now. Chrysoprase is going to attract somebody who's in alignment with your highest good, so that you don't keep repeating patterns of emotional wounds that probably have plagued you for a long time if you have that. And then I'm going to use my pyrite for confidence, for empowerment, for calling in someone who is of a similar energetic pattern to me, and somebody who also is doing their spiritual work as well. I'm going to use thulite because I want to be in a place where I'm open to that level of connection. Thulite helps you not be afraid, helps you speak your truth and articulate your needs. And then I'm going to do the big bang of topaz, somebody who's in alignment with my path, manifesting what's in my highest good, preventing connection with people who wouldn't be appropriate for me at this time, and then of course terminating. Now here's a place where you might want to turn the points in. Can you think about why that is? Now, if I was trying to generate love for the world, like I wanted to send love to India, and I wanted to send love to Mexico, and I wanted to send love to Canada, I would turn it all out and just raise the energy of love and just let it spill out into the world. If I'm trying to raise love for me, where am I? You have to think about where you are relative to the grid. Trying to raise love for yourself, you want this to be the energetic container. You want this to be the vortex for love. So here's your love vortex. It sounds kind of sexy, doesn't it? Okay, so where do we begin? Do you remember? It's you. So calling in your intention for this grid, for love, for connection, for alignment with the divine, the idea of seeing the divine mirrored in someone else. And when you feel really centered and really connected, attention brought to your breath, and take the point to the generator. You can bring it back to yourself one more time to receive just a little boost of energy, back to the generator, and then out to the farthest point. And then again, manifesting the path, feeling empowered to speak what your needs are, connecting to your deepest sense of power, healing your heart, and calling in passion out to the farthest, manifesting, connecting, empowering, healing, and then the passion out. And since I started, even though this is a demo, I'm going to finish. I don't like to begin energetic work, even in a demo, without actually completing the full cycle. And then I also don't switch hands. Like here, it would have been easier to put this wand in my left hand and to start activating with my left hand, but that's not my power hand. If you think you overlooked one, just go back to it. Make sure that you have touched every stone. And now I'm back. But what you don't want to do is switch hands mid-course, if that makes sense. This is my projecting hand, my right hand. This is my receiving hand. I want to do all magical work with my projecting hand. All charging, all consecrating work is done with my projecting hand. Now you can run your receiving hand. Receiving hand works counterclockwise. Projecting hand works clockwise. Yeah. So you could run your receiving hand counterclockwise around the circle just to receive the energy. My hand just got really, really hot. So, this may look simple to you. Even in this demo, I've set up something quite powerful here. I can feel it with my receiving hand. But any charging and any consecrating is done here. And again, you can bring it back to your third eye, connecting around the purpose. And then something simple. So with this, again, placing it here so that the circle is continued with this grid, I call it a love that's in alignment with my highest good. Something that empowers me, keeps me focused on my path, heals old patterns and wounds, and empowers me to be my best and highest self. Amen. Aho, so it is. Grid number 2. We're like power gridding today. I kind of like it. I think I'll save the third grid for a future video because I know we've gone a little bit longer than I intended to, but I hope that this has really taught you what tools you need, how you do it. Just a quick technique, but one that's very powerful. Also trying to weave in the idea of receiving and projecting so that you know why your hands are such powerful tools. This is also, by the way, why you need to smudge your hands twice a day. Light your sage in a bowl, run your hands through it. You're doing a lot of energetic work with your hands. You want to make sure that your hands are always clear. So namaste, everybody. May your grids bring you all things that you need and desire, that it's in alignment with your path and your purpose at imperfect time. That's my wish for you. Enjoy, everybody.